Alexandra Eala and the Roar of a Nation. On August 27, 2025, the story of Alexandra Eala at the U.S. Open took a pause, but not an end. Her second-round loss to Spain's Cristina Bucșa, 6-4, 6-3, will fade quickly into the scorelines of a tournament that moves relentlessly forward. What will endure is something much harder to quantify. The way she carried an entire nation into the heart of Flushing Meadows and returned with a piece of history. 2 days earlier, Eala had been at the center of one of those rare sporting moments when time seemed to stretch. Down 1-5 against 14th seed Clara Towson in the deciding set, she refused to yield. Every point became an act of defiance. The crowd, sensing the improbable, began to surge with her. Filipinos straight off their night shifts, students with flags painted on their cheeks, families who had driven hours just to be there. 8,000 voices thundered, "Let's go, Alex," until it became a rhythm, almost a prayer. When Towson's last shot fell long and the scoreboard sealed as 6-3, 2-6, 7-6, 13-11 epic, Eala collapsed onto the court, not in defeat, but in a kind of surrender to joy. That victory made her the first Filipino ever to win a Grand Slam singles match in the Open era. For the Philippines, where tennis has long lived in the margins of basketball-dominated dreams, this was seismic. Diaspora communities from around the world shared the highlight clip as if it were an heirloom. In New York, where the migrant story is stitched into every block, Eala's win became a mirror. Here was a daughter of the Philippines, raised on the same language of sacrifice and resilience, breaking through the walls of a sport that often felt distant. This triumph is not an isolated flash, but part of a season of steady blaze. In March, she stormed into the semifinals of the Miami Open, cutting down Madison Keys and Iga Swiatek along the way. The first Filipina to ever stand that deep in a WTA 1000. In June, she reached her maiden WTA final in Eastbourne and broke into the top 60 of the world rankings. With every step, she has widened the aperture of possibility for Southeast Asian athletes who rarely see themselves reflected on tennis's most luminous stages. That is why her loss to Bucșa is not the closing of a door, but the opening of a vista. At 20, Eala already understands that legacy is built not only on trophies, but on presence, on the courage to step into arenas where no one from your country has stood before, and to hold that space with dignity. She spoke after her win about how proud she is to be Filipino. Remember that pride is not ornamental. It is foundational. It is the thread connecting her to the fans in the bleachers, the children clutching Sharpies for autographs, Filipinos across the globe watching on shaky live streams. The U.S. Open did not crown Alex Eala a champion this year. It gave her something else, permanence. She has shown that resilience can rewrite the script, that a Filipino can walk into Flushing Meadows not as a guest but as a contender. For a country still waiting for its first Grand Slam champion, that belief may prove more enduring than any trophy.